Hey, how's it going? Eric over at Diversified Outdoors. I wanted to cover a very simple topic today. It's basically how to clean your knife, not current knives. Now, if you're like most of us who are, EDC, everyday carry people, one of those items is always going to be some kind of a pocket knife. And typically what we're carrying now are what we would call like a little tactical folder. And it basically just has a belt clip that you really don't even hook it on your belt. You hook it in the inside of your pocket. This is primarily what most of us are carrying. But years ago, and currently, not everyone's switched to these. But I'll tell you, these are knives I've had since I was basically a teenager. So quite a few years ago. We used to carry a sheathed knife like this classic Buck 110. And, this would actually go around, on your actual belt loop instead of your pocket. And here's another one, a Parker. And I brought these two out because I'm going to show you the same problem on both these, even though one's brass and one's not. It's more like a satin, some kind of a stainless steel with satin finish on it. But they're both doing the same thing that you're going to, hopefully learn how to get rid of because it's kind of gross. So again, these knives don't seem to have any issues. I think partially because we're using them a lot. They're not sheathed. They're out in the open. They're being pulled in and out of our pockets. So you could almost argue this is a very active use knife, right? These knives, on the other hand, oftentimes are sitting in there in this leather sheath. And I think that could be part of the problem. Anyway, so here's the problem. And let me know if you've experienced the same thing. You go to use your knife, and it is some beautiful shades of green and teal and aqua on the brass pins on the back, right? I don't know if you've seen this before, but this is what happens to these things. Same thing with this Parker. Again, this is not brass. It's more of probably a stainless steel with some kind of a brushed satin finish to it. Still doing the same thing. So I think the culprit is from them sitting in this sheath that's leather, and I think that's why it's happening. So back in the day, when I used to carry knives like this, I remember asking, I think it was my uncle, I'd ask, hey, how do I get this clean again? These things are gross, and I want to get them looking new again so I can continue to carry them and want to use them and not have them be kind of disgusting to even touch because, this stuff is gross and it gets on your hands, gets on everything, and your clothing too. So he had told me about this thing called Nevr-Dull. And I'm like, what the hell is Nevr-Dull? He goes, well, you get this little can, and it's got what looks like shredded up pieces of cotton in it, and it smells basically like a mixture of kerosene and diesel fuel and gasoline. I'm like, oh, that sounds fantastic. So I ended up getting some. Again, this is when I was a teenager. And it worked like a charm. I couldn't believe how well it worked. And so I thought to myself, oh, so I recently found these in a box because I was going through some of my old stuff, and I found a box of old knives. And as soon as I pulled it out, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember how much of a pain it was to keep these stupid things clean. And I remember that I used to use that stuff, Nevr-Dull, that my uncle told me about. So I looked online. I actually just went to Amazon, put in Nevr-Dull, and sure enough, Nevr-Dull still exists. And here it is. This is Nevr-Dull. Okay? All it says on it is the original Nevr-Dull Magic Wadding Polish. And it does talk about different applications like automotive, silverware, brass fittings, lamps, and marine applications. And if you open it up, it's kind of just like I said. It literally just looks like a bundle of cotton and it just reeks. It literally smells like you're putting your nose into gasoline is what it smells like. But I will tell you, at least what I remember, this stuff works like a champ. So let's go ahead and dive into that. And what I'll do is I'll change the camera angle so you can kind of see what I'm going to do here. I'll show you what you need to get this done and how you'll be able to see how it works in real life and maybe decide if this is something that you could use to clean up your old knives that you maybe want to either carry again, or at least, like for me, I'm probably not going to carry these, but I don't want them sitting like this and deteriorating and pitting and getting any kind of, long-term effects. And again, maybe there already is. We'll see how this works, but, to getting these back to kind of like new again. Like I said, if from what I remember, man, that stuff was like magic. So let's see if it's still like magic. So hang tight and we'll get this going here. Okay, so here's really all you need. I would argue I would use these gloves. You need your knives. What I would do is just take a little bit of paper towel, maybe put that down on the table. because I will argue this stuff is pretty nasty. Again, that's why I'm going to wear the gloves, because it really does reek. So let's go ahead and put these gloves on real quick. Just these little sheepy gloves will work. It's just kind of to keep that smell, because that smell will stay on your skin for days, if not longer. Okay, and our Nevr-Dull. That's kind of all you need, right? Pretty basic. So let's see if this stuff works as good as I recall as a kid, as a teenager. So again, all we did was I just took a little bit, ripped it off, right? And let's see, we'll start with this buck because it seems to be the worst. And I just literally rubbed it like this. So look what's coming off there. Now granted, I'm going to probably say that I think that these knives, I think from the amount of time that they've spent sitting like this, I have a feeling that they're going to have maybe suffered a little bit of damage that maybe I won't be able to get rid of, but I will argue that, at least from what I remember, this is kind of working like it did back in the day. Look. See? I mean, I even get it on the wood. Doesn't seem to, I don't think it, if I remember right, it didn't make a difference. But like I said, you can see there's a couple stubborn spots. So let's open it up. Get in here. Get around these pins. I mean, I'm going right on the wood and everything. Like I said, if I remember right, it didn't really harm anything. And again, these, knives have been sitting. They're kind of not in the best shape to begin with, so I'm not sure it's going to really hurt them anyway. And you can see, now I remember that too, how much it lasts, because you can see I'm still in that first little wad. I mean, that's all I've used for this entire knife so far. Okay, so let's get another piece of paper towel. Let's wipe this thing down. The wood part 2. Now again, look at that. I'll argue that is a heck of a difference. Now granted, I'm getting, these gloves have powder on them, so I'm getting that kind of white powder all over it. But anyway, that's that one. I think that's pretty good difference here. I'm going to take this one and get rid of it. And move this one away, and let's try it on this this other knife here. So we're going to grab another little bit here. Just another little wad. And again, just going to do little circular motions, or however you want. I don't think it matters too much. Yeah, it's clearing it right up. I mean, look at that. And it's back to pretty much a mirror finish. And again, it seems to be no issue going on the wood. Get the other side. Again, there's a pin in the middle here. Pin's a little bit stubborn, so I'm kind of using my nail. There we go. That got it. All along the back and the ends. This other side here. All right, my table's wiggling around here. It's a kind of a small, skinny little table, but it's kind of all I had to do something like this. So let's open this one up like we did the other one, so we can get the inside here nice and clean. And I will say, not bad. So let's get another piece of paper towel. this thing down. Okay, sorry about that. Let's see. So there we go. I mean, that's pretty much brought this back to a mirror finish. And the wood cleaned up, everything cleaned up, the whole thing cleaned up. I mean, look at that. Before, you know, what it was before and now what it is now. And even on the brass, I'd say the brass didn't. The brass you could still probably polish some more and maybe even hit it with like a Dremel with like a little polishing tool on it. But I will argue that from where they were to where they are now, and again, maybe get gloves that don't have powder, I will say that is a hell of a difference. So there you go. Nice and simple. A couple minutes of your time, and you've got your knives ready to carry again. Nice and shiny. Went from green, teal tarnish to ready to carry again. Nice and clean. The brass you can obviously polish up a little bit better, but still, all the tarnish is gone and this thing's good to carry again. So what I would do is I would recommend not carrying them or storing them in these. If you're going to carry them to use them in your sheath on your belt, like actively, I would keep them in here. But what I'm going to do is store these outside of the sheaths, because as you can see on both of them, you've got that tarnish in there. Not as much on this one, but tons on this one because of the brass. And inside too. So what I'll do with these is clean these with the brush. I won't use the Nevr-Dull on this because of the leather, but I will clean these out too with some kind of a brush to get that tarnish out of there. But I'll store these separately until I want to carry them. So again, I would recommend getting that little thing of Nevr-Dull. As little as I used, 2 of these to clean both those knives. I mean, arguably this will last you a lifetime. And as you can see on the side, you can freeze that if you want. It shows you a lot of other applications that you can use this for. So it's not just for these knives, but a lot of stuff. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully it helped you solve the problem of how to quickly and easily clean your knives up so you can get them back to carrying, or at least put them away for storage without them continuing to tarnish and degrade. So hopefully that was helpful. Eric at Diversified Outdoors, and keep an eye out for more videos. I just got this channel started and rolling. If you want to check out my other channel, it is SoCal Cigars, where I talk about cigars. But on this channel, I want to talk about, like the title, very diversified outdoor-related topics. So it could be firearms, it could be EDC, it could be different kinds of weapons, it could be martial arts, it could be traveling, travel trailers, all sorts of stuff. So, but again, I'm just getting the ball rolling on this one. So just keep an eye out and make sure to make comments and let me know what you want to see or what you think. And I will adjust accordingly, and I will try to cover anything you want to hear about. And we'll get this going together and hopefully have a good time. Again, Eric, Diversified Outdoors, and I will see you on the next video. Take it easy.